Hello, how you doing? And welcome to, of course, my YouTube channel. I haven't been on here in a long time. And so I'm going to come to you as such on this channel from time to time to talk about all things current. Off the top of my head, please feel free to comment as you like with regards to your wit or whim. There's a lot of things that are pressing as such. So I'm not going to try to get too emotional because I can get very emotional and that skews my opinion sometimes or whatnot, that could, stray from what you call the facts of the matter. So everybody has their own opinions, but I'm going to try to lace it with what you call facts. Oh, somebody called me. But in any event or whatnot, yes, please subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate it whatnot. So far I only have 2, so it is what it is. But basically, my mission since my heart attack is to try to keep things as honest as possible. And I implore, I beseech, I exhort one to challenge me as such. I say this most humbly as such, pertaining to the fact of maybe me being wrong. Please feel free to correct me. I'm not always right. I'm hardly right. But the bottom line is the fact that there's certain things that I see that's going on that basically turns my stomach. I don't want to try to go too much into the dramatic, over the top, or what have you, heat about what you call hyperbole. And I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible. Okay, for the first time, let's get into it. The first time we actually have a socialist, Bernie Sanders, okay, vying for the presidency. All right, he is my enemy. Not per se in regards to him coming after me, but he's the enemy, okay, to me, because what he's doing is trying to turn this country upside down. Okay, the Democratic Party has morphed into basically a socialist party. Be not deceived, or do not believe the hype when they say, Bernie specifically, that this is what you call democratic socialism or not. Until someone basically shows me where socialism has worked, I will believe what historical evidence that has been panned out time and time again, okay, that socialism is a major failure. Socialism is about control, okay? And these lovely millennials and whatnot are wet behind the ears, and I say that lovingly because they just don't know. What does it mean? Takeaway. We can maybe try to convince them as such. But it's hard to do that because basically socialism is about promising everything, but at the end of the day, delivering nothing. Like what you call universal health care pertaining to a lot of these socialist countries per se, i.e. you might say Canada. Okay, so it doesn't work. But when Bernie and others in the Democratic Party are promising to pay the little kiddies, what you call younglings or whatnot, struggling students, tuition, okay, that's a great motivator for anyone to want to vote. Plus, basically, by them being in college in the first place, quite a few of those universities or whatnot are brainwashing these kids in certain such ways or whatnot to hate America. Not all. Okay, so it's no wonder why they come out basically anti this and anti that. Okay, because basically the hippies then graduated, okay, from the 60s, and they didn't basically intersperse themselves into these universities. And they're, for the most part, with few exceptions, I would suppose, made up of what you call very progressive, liberal, okay, professors that lean way to the left at times, talking about a lot of things like Marxism and sociality and this and that. One of the major brain trusts behind this movement also is Saul Alinsky. He wrote the book called Rules for Radicals, okay? And so that was Hillary's playbook along with Barack Obama as such. Barack Obama campaigned on being a moderate, but at the end of the day, with regards to his actions, because actions speak louder than words, okay, he tried to implement a lot of things in regards to socialistic policies, particularly Obamacare. That's a socialist thing. That's a government takeover, whereby he penalized individuals for basically not being able to, of course, get into it or not get into it. And if you didn't, whatnot, you were penalized as such. Okay, so that's basically a government takeover. That's never good when the government gets the power to basically, of course, go into the private sector, okay, and just take basically what is theirs as such. This is devastating as such. So I hope more people can basically become aware, not so much wake up because that takes on a slight negative connotation, but to at least be aware of just what socialism is about. Don't take my word for it. I would implore one to basically move beyond Google and go into other search engines and whatnot, whereby maybe you might get, more of an immediacy pertaining to, of course, results that basically might be less skewed, you might say, as such per, of course, algorithms. Okay, because make no mistake, Google knows exactly what it's doing. Sometimes you got to basically dig deeper pertaining to the reality of the fact that you can't find what you're looking for because everything is so skewed one way. And then you look at basically the source from what's it come from, looks like it has a little bent. The best ability or the situation is to get a non-partisan viewpoint, neither left nor right. One great source for that, I would suppose, for example, is the Pew Research Center. If you look at All Sides Media, okay, they're a major reputable fact-checking, what you call company or organization, or bias check, you might say, whereby they have rated the Pew Research time and again as center, not center left, not center right, but center. And that's a good thing. So we want to find out where the source is coming from, and we want to find out just how reputable or credible that source is with a certain modicum of gravitas. Okay, when we do that and whatnot, then I think that it imbues our opinion more substantially as such, and has more of an efficacy pertaining to basically criticizing or maintaining certain types of critique on certain things. And I think that's the best possible thing that can happen or occur. So it's always good to find out where the source is coming from. Just because one might send links and this and that, even me or whatnot, always check my links, find out basically, okay, what's going on here, what's the slant, what's the angle. There's always an angle at some point or whatnot. So for one to basically lie to themselves and say that there's not any bias, there's always some type of bias. Make no mistake about it. So going into the situation with that arm beforehand or previously, or that prerequisite, I think that we can forward forth a better and more honest conversation. Now back to Bernie. Okay, I do believe that basically Bernie truly believes the lies that he's telling. Okay, which makes him, again, like I said before previously in my post, dangerous, especially to the vulnerable, or ones that basically maybe don't know any better, or basically are not aware of the absolute devastating effects of socialism. But for the first time, we actually have a straight up socialist. I know he says he's a democratic socialist or whatnot, but it's like Bill Clinton saying, I never had sex with that woman. Okay, but the thing about it, you was performed, of course, fellatio was performed upon you, whatnot. So I think that's like a no-brainer, and it's just a matter of parsing words, also known as semantics. So it's semantics, basically, in regards to what Bernie Sanders is doing. At a certain point, he knows exactly what he's doing. Bottom line, he's after power and control. Okay, and he believes, like a lot of the elite, that they know what's best for us. No, thank you very much. We'll pass. The bottom line is the fact that there's a reason why basically I'm yearning to get back into the base of things and whatnot, because basically real people in real America, they exactly get it. You got to get back, like they said before, and it's become quite current or cliched, you got to get back to the basics. That's the most important thing. That's why I implore anybody that has the means or the wherewithal, okay, to basically get out of these cities, because until some of these DA mayors and whatnot, some like the 26th District Attorney of Philadelphia, Larry Krasner, who was put in basically with what you call George Soros monies, okay, just like Nancy Pelosi was basically put into place through $100 million from Mike Bloomberg. Okay, Mike Bloomberg is worth well over $60 billion, so basically a few hundred is nothing to him. Okay, so what we're seeing in regards to that, and I'll speak about that maybe later, is the fact that he's leveraging, okay, the Democratic Party, which of course naturally would imbue in many people, I would suppose, resentment that he doesn't really want to go through the process and whatnot, and the young individuals and whatnot are not going to go for that as such. Luckily, Bernie Sanders, and like Donald Trump said, Bernie, directly to Bernie, okay, don't let them steal at this time. So the Bernie bros and of course, the millennials and anyone else that loves Bernie are pissed off already from 2016. And what they are trying to do, the individuals that know better than basically maybe you or me or anybody else or whatnot, okay, is trying to stop Bernie. They have a really good reason, because Bernie is a socialist or whatnot. And even though they side with Bernie on a lot of things, they're not going to basically come out and say per se that basically, this is what we want. Unless you're Elizabeth Warren. But the moderates like Joe Biden, who's pushed himself to the left, and he's almost done, but there is some life still in him as such, pertaining to what happened in Nevada. He came in second, okay, and so there's a glimmer of hope. But I think for the most part, and I could be wrong, he's done. Okay, Pete Buttigieg, okay, the bottom line is the fact that he's not going to get in, because no matter what you say, we're not going to vote for, of course, the president and his first man. And so I like to talk about things that need to be talked about, because I could care less. The bottom line is the fact that, again, I keep hyping on my heart attack. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to keep it at 100%. Okay, we can't wake up every morning seeing this dude kissing another dude or whatnot, because basically that will basically rub too many people the wrong way. Plus, also too, and additionally, most of this country, if you look at the polls, is center right. Even though, of course, there's more Democrats than, of course, what you call Republicans, but basically look more closely whatnot, they're thinking it's more center-right as compared to not. So that's all that means as such. Bottom line is the fact that what I see happening is the same possible thing that's happening when Hitler came to rise. Not that I'm trying to compare Bernie Sanders to Hitler, so I don't want my words to be misconstrued or twisted. What I'm saying is the fact that when you deny certain things that could happen, and you maintain a gluten glow, like there's a few on the Republican side that believe that there's no way that Bernie could become president. That would be a fatal mistake. Okay, whether you're boxing or whether you're doing anything and you're dealing with an opponent, in this case, Bernie Sanders is an enemy. He's not an enemy to me personally on an individual or micro level. He's never done anything wrong to me. But basically, he's an enemy to what you call this country and what this country stands for. This country was founded, though man is imperfect and there was a lot of things going on, okay, on what you call Judeo-Christian principles with a little mixture of Greek democracy and this and that and whatnot. Okay, so I want to give the proper shout out. Okay, so there's still people, okay, that might not be practicing their faith at full pop that still maintain a more traditional view of things in regards to what this country, okay, is all about. America was great at its inception. Even though we had slavery, we actually had a constitution that allowed for that 13th Amendment to get rid of 13th Amendment to get rid of slavery. And we make sure, because I carry me a little pocket, what you call U.S. Constitution, of course, Bill of Rights. Okay, I want to make sure that I quote the 13th Amendment right. Okay, and what does the 13th Amendment say? Okay, specifically. Okay, here it is right here. Okay, the 13th Amendment. What does it say? All right. Okay, plain and simple. Okay. Here's what the 13th Amendment says. Okay, Section 1. There's 2 sections. Okay, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Section 2. Congress shall have power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So this is the 13th Amendment, which basically freed us as such, okay, along with Lincoln and also along with others and whatnot, the abolitionists, including Cassius Clay, who was a white guy who Muhammad Ali decided to, kick his name to the boot to get Muhammad, who was actually a slave master and such in regards to especially Ethiopians over there. Anyway, make a long story short, this country, again, was great from its inception. However, whatever goes up sometimes comes down. There is an average in regards to the greatness of nations, for the most part, and that average is no more than 250 to 300 years and whatnot. If we become godless, if we basically turn our backs on Jews, the reason why I say that is because God says in the Bible, because I reference everything to what the Word says. I keep it simple. I really do, even though I could be a simpleton. But it's not that simplistic. It's real simple. If you stick with what the Word of God says, you'll be all right. Now, you can basically, put forth other things, whatnot. That could be what we call construed as compromise to the Bible. But I say, why basically do that at half pop when you can do it, at full?